Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Abishai, Bahashim Wakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the confusion of faith joined unto our ranks, the hopefully elect, my fellow yoke mates, the laborers that are doing this work in truth and sincerity, whether they're in GMS or not. Those who are teaching the word directly and correctly, according to the gospel, according to the scriptures, as was taught by the elders and apostles of the great millstone. This is your brother Malcolm from the Chicago branch of the great millstone, and coming at you another lesson. The motivation that drove me to do this was watching a video that the elder Yashawamba put up, and I can't remember the exact title, something to the effect that the heathens are hurt, and they are hurt, and they're afraid, you know, because like the brother Murph, you know, the beloved Murph said a couple months back. He said that the great millstone has forced the whole world to read the Bible again, right? The Christian world to read the Bible again. And now they're listening to us and they're reading what we're reading, and they're starting to see and understand, and fear falls upon them, especially when they come to understanding, like this girl did in this video called Part 5. It was the Edomite cries because salvation is for Israel only, and this was 4:16:16. All right, so
there you go. He came out of Judah. Go ahead.
As he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began.
Wait a minute. So read that again. Start back from the horn. Go ahead.
As he spake by the horn, yeah, and he hath raised up an horn of salvation for us.
So the horn of salvation is who the world calls Jesus Christ. Go ahead.
In the house of his servant David.
Go ahead.
As he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets.
So that cuts that whole notion about the Lord is not in the...
And see, she's about to be joined in that mourning and that crying. You just had the video where the Edomites were all had their hands on the Jake in the church, and they were apologizing for all the atrocities done, you know, unto the sons of Israel, to the children of Israel here, Salakia, here in the Americas, and all the things that Esau did. So you know what? Without any further ado, let's get some scriptures just to solidify, you know, this whole thing. All right. And we're gonna start with Samuel. All right. So we're going to the book of Samuel. This is 2 Samuel, the 3rd chapter. And the verse we're going to read. Yeah. Yes. Salakia. This is 2 Samuel the 3rd chapter, the 10th verse, and it says, to translate the kingdom from the house of Saul, to set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan even to Beersheba. All right. Verse 18. Now then do it, for Yahweh has spoken of David, saying, by the hand of my servant David, I will save my people Israel out of the hand of the Philistines and out of the hands of their enemies. All right. So what they're beginning, like the elder Yashawamba said, what the churches don't want to go into or talk about is King David, because according to the Bible, Yahweh's throne, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, is going to rule from the throne of David, on David's throne. All right. And it says that the house of David shall be established as the days of old. And what did the house of David do? They beat down, struck down enslaved and made servants of all the heathen nations round about. And the same thing is going to happen again. And this is why they're hurt and why they hate us and why they're afraid. All right, the same way they didn't want us to build the temples in the ancient world, they don't want us to build it now. All right? And the house of David, the temple of David, the third temple, is not a physical building, it's a spiritual building. All right? The tabernacles of David is talking about the men, the mighty men. And that's what you're seeing when you see these camps like the one that you see on the screen there. Around the world, around Babylon and around the world, on the highways and byways, pushing out this truth. Okay? Let's grab some more scriptures. This is Psalms. Let's go to the book of Psalms. Uh, 122. Psalms 122. And 5, and it reads, "For there are set thrones of judgments, the thrones of the house of David." All right? So all the judgment of the world is going to come from the throne of the house of David, who Yahushua is going to sit at the head at. All right? And King David is actually going to be in the mix as well. All right? Because King David is coming back because he was promised to rule over, to be Israel's king forever. So Yahushua is going to set up King David again. All right? All power on heaven and earth were given unto Yahushua by the Father. The Father's going to sit back and kick back, and Yahushua is going to do everything. And David is going to rule over the tribes of Israel and over everything. All right? Under the authority of Yahushua. That's scriptural. That's why in Revelations it says, well, let's get it. All right? Revelation 2 and 26. Then we get right back to the tribes of Israel. Because it's all about Israel. And they're starting, and you can't count this out because it's all through the New Testament too. All right? This is Revelation 2 and 26, and it reads, "And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and as vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father." All right? So Yahushua, who the world willfully and ignorantly calls Jesus, the same way the world willfully and ignorantly refers to the tribe of Judah as black or African Americans, willfully and ignorantly, because they are the tribe of Judah, and the learned people know that, but yet they push in their media, this whole black thing. Black is a color, not a race, not a place or a land. All right? So, let's continue on. Let's go to Isaiah. Nine and 7. And it reads, "Of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end upon the throne of David, and upon his kingdom to order it, and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of Yahweh of hosts will perform this." So David's throne ended when Israel went down. So it's going to rule forever when? In the kingdom of heaven. Just like when you read Romans, the 9th chapter. Verses 1 through 5. It makes it clear that the covenants, the blessings, the glory, the covenant, the servant of the Lord is to the Israelites, according to the flesh. It means the bloodline Israelites, not someone who believes. Because, a lot of people are going to believe and still get carted off into slavery. You're going to believe right into those chains. All right? Right into those shackles. All right? Just because you have belief don't make you a part of a blood covenant. You're not part of this. You ain't put in on this, man. All right, let's go to First Maccabees. Chapter 2. And verse 57. David, for being merciful, possessed the throne of an everlasting kingdom. So that means David has to come back to receive his kingdom. And the Christian church, none of the churches want to talk about that because they try to make salvation for everyone. The everyone and the all men is talking about Israelites that were scattered into the nations. And how did they get scattered? Through the slavery. Through rape, robbery, murder, and slavery. All right? And it was punishment for their own wrongdoings, but Esau went overboard with it. And they even stole our heritage from us. All right, let's go to the book of Luke. All right? These are solid precepts, for precept must be upon precept. All right? This is Luke 1. And that first chapter of Luke is heavy, man. Matter of fact, that's what we were reading in this video right here when this Edomite broke down. All right? Because she started reading it for herself, and then all of a sudden it hit her. All right? And she understood that she didn't have no chance. All right? This is Luke 1 and 32. He shall begot, Shalakia, he shall be great and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And Yahweh power shall give unto him the throne of his father David. All right. Verse 33. And he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and his kingdom shall have no end. That is talking about the kingdom of heaven, man. It ain't saying nothing about the Africans, nothing about the Edomites, nothing about the Moabites, nothing about the Elamites, nothing about any of the other nations, man. Ammon, Moab. None of them. All right, Ishmael. None of them. They have nothing to do with this except slavery. All nations will have to serve the Israelites. Why do you think they all collectively made that tumult and helped hide and keep secret our heritage and let us be labeled as Hispanics and natives, savages and niggers and Africans and wetbacks and beaners and all those other lies that they placed upon us. Okay? Let's stay in the book of Luke and go to verses 67 through 77. I'm going to read this with great pleasure. All right? This is Luke 1 and 67. And it said, and his father Zacharias was filled with the Holy Ghost and prophesied, saying, blessed be Yahweh power of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people. All right? And he raised up a horn of salvation. Matter of fact, that's when she started crying. She was reading along. Because all the other precepts that had come out before, she was in denial of. But this was the icing on the cake. And she realized, holy shit, it is all about Israel. I've been lied to. That's why she broke down and cried. All right? And that was the second time, by the way. Because she cried a few minutes before that too. And she kind of got her composure back and started listening again. All right? Verse 70. And as he spake by mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. All the prophets were Israelites, by the way. Anyone saying otherwise is a liar and doesn't understand or know the scriptures, or they just a straight liar. Verse 71. That we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. And that's all the other nations. Because they all participated either directly or indirectly in our destruction and keeping our heritage hidden. None of the nations spoke up for us and said, hey, what you're doing is wrong, and there's going to be a recompense for that. Those are the Lord's people, man. What are you doing? Nobody checked Esau. Nobody. And Esau led them, and basically that's why they're all going to hate Esau, and due to Esau, Esau going to be so mistreated because other nations are going to be angry that they're catching hell because of them. Verse 72. To perform the mercy promised to our fathers and remember his holy covenant. The covenant and the promise was to the Israelites, period. The oath which he sware unto our father Abraham, all right, that he would grant unto us, that we being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, might serve him without fear, in holiness and righteousness before him all the days of our life. And thou child shalt be called the prophet of the highest, for thou shalt go before the face of Yahweh to prepare his ways. And that's exactly what he did. Yahushua came and went before the face of Yahweh, and he made that bridge between us. He shed his blood for us and brought us back and adopted us back and brought us back into the covenant. All right, to the second covenant, which when you read in Hebrews about the second covenant, if you keep reading, it tells you it's to the Israelites. Both the second and the first and the second covenant. All right. Verse 77, to give knowledge of salvation unto his people by remission of their sins. And it tells you back in Matthew, as it's giving you the lineage of the Lord in the beginning. All right, give you the lineage from Adam all the way to Joseph, who was the father of Yahushua. All right, who the scriptures tell you Joseph is of the house of David, of Judah, that sperm line. All right. But here it is. This is Matthew 1:21. And he shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahushua, for he shall save his people from their sins. Last scripture, man. And then I may have to do another part too, because just to drive the nail into the coffin before we throw the dirt on it, on this so-called Christianity. This is Ecclesiastes 44, and let's start at 22. With Isaac he did establish likewise for Abraham his father's sake the blessing of all men and the covenant. All men of those are of the covenant. All right. And all men will eventually be blessed, because when we rule, it's going to be a righteous rule. After they serve their punishment, all the other nations are going to go back to their lands and live in peace. But the Edomites are going to be eliminated off the face of the earth. And there'll never be any more people that look like this young lady ever again after the Edomites are wiped away. But the Edomites have to serve 1,000 years of slavery, of hardcore, rigorous slavery, the worst that the world will ever see. So their slavery is going to make the slavery of the Israelites, the transatlantic slave trade that was taking Negroes from Africa and Hispanics from America back over to Europe. All right, it was a triangular slave trade. It's going to make that look like a day in the park. And that was horrible. All right, let me start this again. Ecclesiastes Sirach 44 and 22. With Isaac did he establish likewise for Abraham his father's sake the blessing of all men and the covenant, and made it rest upon the head of Jacob. He acknowledged him in his blessings, and gave him a heritage, and divided his portions among the 12 tribes did he part them. So it's all about the 12 tribes of Israel. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Abashai Bashim Wakwadash Wa Abba Babal Kwam Yasharala.